We may have some of the biggest news here, I think, for 2022 if this actually plays out, and that is a combination of Twitter, Polygon, and Robinhood. I want you to think about those because what we're about to give you guys in terms of some of the alpha here is to analyze how all of this fits together for the future of crypto Twitter and in general payments on Twitter as a whole. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to the Tech Path. Let's get into it today. It's going to be a good one. All right, so I want to take a break and thank our sponsor. That is Ocean Crawler Watches. If you guys don't know, I'm a big watch fan. I love to collect watches, and I actually own an Ocean Crawler, and it's one of those that when you look at the dive business, this is probably one of the iconic watches out there. Now, they have a whole array of things. The ones I like are kind of interesting because, you know me, I'm a Bitcoin guy, so I love to look at what I think is their Bitcoin watch, and that is their Ocean Crawler Palladino, which is the Wavemaker V2. You can do pre-order on these right now. There's a really cool offer that they've given just to our audience, and that is a $150 discount. So all you have to do is use our link in the description of the video below or the podcast. If you're listening to this, you may not get a chance to see these beautiful watches, but use the link. It'll take you to their website. Just use the code Barron, and that will give you the discount code. So all you have to do is do that. You're in like Flint, and make sure and let them know we sent you. All right, so let's get into it today. And I want to lead off here with this first news story. And this really kind of blows into the whole issue of where and what Twitter is up to. Now, we all know what Elon has been doing over the past few weeks and now month. Is really kind of going into restructuring a lot of the functions within Twitter itself. But at the same time, there has to be a solution that is going to drive revenue to Twitter. That, at the end of the day, that has got to happen. It's got to get them to a point where they can become at least profitable or at least handle their burn rate. This first story here, Twitter adds Bitcoin and ETH price indexes to the search functionality. This is a big deal because I think this starts to set the tone for what might be beginning. And if you notice what we highlighted here, social media platform added new crypto features, enable users to search the price of Bitcoin and ETH simply by typing the names, and then boom, you get a response back. And interestingly enough, what I'll show you is what this looks like out there on Twitter. Let's just jump over to Twitter real quick. Here was a quick search of Bitcoin, and that is self-propagating right there. So you guys can kind of see how I've searched it. And then there you have it. Let me go back to it, and we'll do that live. And when you see search integrated in like this, and you'll notice right here, view on Robinhood. This is really kind of the big difference between this. Now, this could mean a lot of connectivity into the DeFi wallet, as we all know is coming from Robinhood. This also could mean a lot of conjecture around how this may play into the whole application of ZK rollups and the use case for Polygon. I'll get into all of this for you guys. Just to give you a kind of some fun point, this was a tweet out there that was kind of looking at Matic as being part of this. This is, of course, all Photoshop. But the point is, you get the trick here. Could we see search in the future that really starts to really hone in on a lot of these top digital assets that show up on Twitter? And remember, crypto Twitter in its own right is its own world. It has a real community, a lot of content within it. It's what we basically feed off for our own crypto power index, and it gives a tremendous amount of insights to what's happening in the market. Further into the article, and what I want to focus on here, was a tweet that was done back in November. I think it was back in early November. And this tweet was done by Sync, and basically what it was looking at was the major partnership list that Polygon had put together. Remember, you had Robinhood in there for the DeFi wallet. You had Disney in there, Mercedes, Flipkart. We know about all of these. Twitter, yes, we know. Facebook, Adidas, etc. You can kind of see the lineup. There was Starbucks, Stripe is in there, Bentley, and so on. All of these companies represent very interesting strategies of how to deploy Web3. And part of this is going to integrate into some sort of payment solution. And what that payment solution might look like, and or the potential of integrating more use case from mainstream users into actually being able to buy on platforms, and Robinhood being a good example of it. We've talked about Robinhood many times. I'll segue into that just to show you a little bit here of the investor index. This is the Robinhood Investor Index showing what the Robinhood Investor Index does in comparison to the NASDAQ. And I want you to notice some here. Robinhood's in the green, and then right there is the NASDAQ in the blue. So you can kind of see activity-wise, we continue to see a lot of growth in Robinhood, especially around retail investing. And I think that is more importantly the focus here, because retail investing could translate into what we will see into crypto Twitter. And remember, discovery is one of the biggest mechanisms of all sorts of digital marketing, whether you think Google, whether you think podcasts, whether you think YouTube. The key here is now Twitter may be integrating something in that actually does a handshake with a DeFi wallet, remember, Polygon, Robinhood, Twitter, and potentially maybe even an integration into some sort of utility tool for payment. I'll get into that in a second. Make sure and hit like on the video if you guys like these kinds of breakdowns where we start to give you more of these deep dive analysis that put together these stories and hopefully give you some insights to how things are potentially going to roll out, because much of this will be revealed over the next few months. So this kind of data to you is alpha in the sense that it may position you in Robinhood better, maybe in Polygon better. Obviously do your own research, but I want you to take these kinds of nuggets and take these and be able to build them into the profile of the data you consume on a day in, day out basis, because it will help you, I think, overall. Further into the Polygon story, Polygon now powers Robinhood of crypto. And, you know, we've already talked about a lot of this on the show. It solves the problem by making DeFi investments very simple. This is one of the things that we talk about all the time, and that's onboarding. The possibility of going using bank account, credit card, and even Apple Pay sliding into this. And also, this app is the first consumer app to be built on Polygon network, which has been growing strongly, obviously, over recent times. So I think we'll see more of this kind of integration when you look at things like Smart DeFi and others. But I think there'll be a lot more of this starting to play its role into traditional and mainstream investing for average retail investors, because that's the bigger market play. It also presents a very big opportunity, you know, when you look at how Robinhood earns money and how all of this might play into a function of changing the dynamics around our financial system. All of that is, I think, up for grabs right now. So a lot happening for sure. This was a tweet from Robinhood right here on December 20th. It was basically talking about the Starks, the whole thing around ZK rollups. But basically what they're announcing is the first and last 0K knowledge pun and a single handle for all things ZK happening on Polygon. And the reason this is important is because of the integration. And if you look back here on a couple of stories, one of these is, and this is, I think this title hits it right there, is it could be the end game for blockchain infrastructure. And this is something we've talked about many times around layer 2s and the integration into something like Ethereum and why the necessity for ZK rollups are. And I won't go into ZK rollups today, get super geeky. Go out, do your research on that. Go dive in. There's tons of information on both YouTube, Twitter, as well as just the open web. Get really to a point where you understand how ZK rollups work, why it's important to both Ethereum and why it's very important to Polygon, and how that bridges into other aspects. Watch our video earlier from this week that talks a lot about how NFTs will be utilized in the future, because we kind of painted the roadmap of how this could be utilized in real utility use case. This is why it's so important. The other thing that came on right here, this was another article, Polygon beats network record. This was again amid the launch of its last testnet. Let me kind of zoom up on that because I know we have the split on right there. All right, so this was obviously off of Polygon scan. The network passed the milestone of 200 million this week, reaching an all-time high on this. And this is, again, more of why I like what Polygon is doing. Now, granted, there is speculation around Polygon. I know we had James on the other day. We're still diving into some of those accusations around Polygon and what that might mean in terms of centralized ownership. Because at the end of the day, we all understand if there's too much control into any given wallets group, it can present a problem. So you always should do your research and understand that. But really what I look at is how do these projects, how do these technologies start to piece together what we will know as Web3. This happened a lot in the early stages of the internet building. What we saw between Web 1 and Web 2, where e-commerce really became a thing, all of this was kind of cobbled together because there were so many different tool sets. It's literally reprinting history in the same way. Obviously, the tools are different. Some of the challenges are different. But part of the players that made up and essentially control what we know now of Web 2 did all of those things. And I think these are the companies that might be right there on the front end of it. Here's Stripe adding Twitter crypto stablecoin payments by partnering with India's Polygon blockchain. So again, you've got Stripe, which we've talked many times about what Jack Mallers is doing at Stripe. A lot of speculation around what that future might look like, a lot of integration. And Jack, he kind of talks in, somewhat, we'll call it crypto speak, but it's also somewhat cryptic in the sense of him showing and alluding to what the future of Stripe might look like. So there is a lot here that I think we have to pay attention to. One of the things that we highlighted here, Stripe customers can now instantly pay funds to their sellers, freelancers, contracts, etc., providers using cryptocurrency. And to me, this is something we've talked about many times, is that this needs to happen in the industry for business to be able to use case what stablecoins mean and can mean for businesses today. Many people, I think, would rather use a USDC or even Tether to that extent in lieu of a US dollar because of the fees that we're seeing on fiat, because of the speed in which it hits banks. Just those kinds of scenarios alone, the instantaneousness and the traceability and the immutable after effect of what crypto brings is a big, big opportunity. And again, this plays into what might be happening over on Twitter. Remember, this was a story we covered, when was this? Last year, it was a year ago, and it was talking about Aave building on Twitter on Ethereum. So there's many that have been trying to do this. This was when we had Lisa Francoeur on the network. And then we did a story right here, and this was done right here a month ago when we were talking about Binance and what the BNB strategy might look like for Twitter as a whole. And again, starts to really play into where the future of all of this is going. Are we witnessing possibly hints right now within the Twitterverse, within crypto Twitter, that's starting to put the pieces of this puzzle together? Remember, a lot of these kinds of moves are often done in the back alleys between a lot of these integrators, and then eventually it's rolled out into a real world application. Here you had Jack Mallers. He was talking about the Lightning use case and literally within the use of what Twitter could do. And he was I think, very very confident of where the future of Lightning would be and what that might look like. So very cool stuff for sure. Let me go back to that because I want to showcase that for a second. Let's go over here and let's buzz down into that where he does the screen. I'm going to kind of scrub this so you can kind of see where the integration is right there. Lightning starts to integrate in, and then how quickly it transacts. So a lot there of where this might go. Remember, DeFi wallet on Polygon tied to Robinhood. Robinhood now integrated in some way back over here to Twitter. Let me go back over to this, guys. Just any one of you guys can do this right here. Going right to it. I want to take a look at Bitcoin, and then let's go view this on Robinhood. Bam, there I am, ready to go. So this is very, very intriguing in what this might look in the near future. All right, further on, let's think about Twitter and where it might be going around their Twitter Blue strategy. And let's not forget, Twitter Blue strategy had some NFT integrations in here. This is our own account, so if you go down here, you'll start to see we don't have Twitter Blue on our PBN TV account, but you'll see here coming soon. See half the ads, post longer videos, and then when you click the learn more, you get the edit, and guess what? Right there, NFT profile pic, show your personal. So all that still is in play for Twitter Blue, integrating what we may see around Web3 NFT integration into Twitter as well. So more stuff that just points to the direction of where all of this is going. Now, Elon talked a little bit about with the Doge community. Elon Musk hinted on a Twitter space that Doge community is close to Christmas. I'm actually going to go the other direction on this. I know the Doge guys are not going to like me on this, but I think with the scenario that plays into Bitcoin, Polygon, and others, I don't know that Doge is going to be the solution unless there is something happening from the Doge side of the house in terms of development, what it might look like in terms of expanding its capability and interoperability. So I think that's going to be a big question mark that we've got to look at. Right here it says, from Elon, things are rather intense right now, so maybe closer to Christmas. This was talking about questions. Would you be interested in briefly coming in? And, I don't know that he's giving them shade or anything, but I'm just looking at where the potential development opportunity is and what that might mean for the future. All right, so let's take a quick look at Doge. And we've got Doge coming up. Let's take a look at where it is right now. So you can kind of see it had a little bit of sideways action, a little bit of downward movement right now. But again, it's been moving down over these past, this past week to 10 days. And if you look at sentiment on Doge, I'm on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at sentiment on Doge. Again, also same scenario. Where it really got concerning to me is when Doge clipped under around the 9th of December and has continued all the way through now, almost to the end of December, underperforming what the overall market was. So that makes me feel like we've just got less and less attention toward Doge for a potential crypto Twitter connection and how all that played out. I would love to get your feedback though. Drop some comments below if you think Polygon and Robinhood and Twitter are up to something here. Where is this in the cards as it plays out into a potential future around whether it's payment or just integration of Web3 or just a solution for Robinhood that could become the de facto platform for buying crypto in the future? Why Robinhood, not Coinbase, not Binance? Very interesting moves right now, guys. Pay attention. This is where it all starts to play out. All right, if you guys are listening in over on the podcast, make sure to tune over here to the YouTube channel. It's the best place to catch all the stuff. And where we break down this, you kind of have to paint the picture, show these connection points. You need to be able to see that to really understand what's happening on these shows. So get over here, do a quick subscribe, like a few videos, and then boom, we'll be in your feed, and hopefully this will help you. And best of all, join the Diamond Circle, because that's the #1 way you can keep caught up. You don't have to camp out on YouTube and Twitter all the time. We're going to give you a couple of drops a week. You catch up on all the videos, and guess what? It's free. Plus, if you guys want to reach me, it's out there on Twitter, @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.